Hello, hello, and welcome back to my channel. I am Lisa of Diamonds and Stitches, and today is Whip and Sip Day. Yes, it is. And I am working on my Victoria's Moon, the Santa Forest, Santa Creatures, whatever it's called. I'll find an appropriate name. Um, But yeah, I'm working on that today. So, but in disclaimer, this is a take two on the first part of this video because when I went to go and edit um, yesterday I actually intended on doing a whip and sip, but I went to go and edit, and the first part of this video was in time lapse. Which weird. I don't remember putting it in that, but you know, I'm half blind when I'm setting stuff up. And so I guess I didn't notice. And yeah, it went into time lapse. So I was like, you gots to be kidding me. And the second part wasn't. So so you are going to see me work on two different pens. Funny, funny. Um so yeah, and I have a bit of a rant. So we'll get into that, but grab your project, get your cup of coffee or your tea or your, I mean, heck, if it's middle of the afternoon for you, hey, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. I don't judge. I'll be drinking later tonight. So yeah. So I'm just doing this up before I go to work. And yeah. Uh, I have been working on this canvas for, well, I started over the weekend and the long weekend. I started this canvas, and I'm going to tell you two things. I'm going to save most of it for the post review, obviously. But the glue on this thing is sticky, sticky, sticky. And when you place your drills on this thing, I am telling you what, you've got to get them in between the training wheels perfectly, or you are pulling it up, because there is no moving these drills. Like, legit no moving these drills. So they either get placed properly the first time, or you need to use a crowbar to get them off. And yeah, so, and then that means, for me, that means that I am not able to use my multi-placer. I wouldn't use this one anyways, but on the next pen that you'll see, I love that multi-placer. It's from Star Wars, and it's a four multi-placer. I love that thing. Thank you, Danielle. I love that thing. But I can't use it on this because I'm still not good enough to put my drills in a great line, even though, you know, the multi-placer is supposed to help you, you know, get things in a straight line. I still managed to combobulate them somehow. And was that a heart? Oh, for the love of Pete. I don't think that was a heart. It was not. For the love of Pete. Yeah, so I still managed to get them on. Can't get that one straight on there either. God, you guys. Yeah. So this canvas is going to be a 1-1 process, and that's just all there is to it. The other thing is the symbols. They're really close together. They're very, very small, and a lot of this is dark, and so I use a light pad on this. And though I'm not today, and I'm like seriously over top of this canvas, I thought I had a lot more hearts. I'm an idiot. There's a couple. Yeah, so the symbols, there is an O and a Q in here, capital O, capital Q. They look identical, you guys. The background color is damn close to identical. The symbol color is identical. And so I had to, over the weekend, I was seriously on top of this canvas going, is there a little teeny tiny line on the bottom of that O, or is that an O? Like it was, oh my God, it was ridiculous, you guys. It was ridiculous. So, yeah, and then there's another symbol on here, C and G. C and G. Come on now. Why would you put, like, do a C and an N? Or, haha, C and N. I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, the symbols are gonna kill me. Yeah, there's no more hearts. Okay, well, I may mention this later in the video, but while I'm thinking of it, you guys see me, I'm using a different pink, tray. I got this from my little friend Danielle, Diamond Painting Queen. Over the weekend, I was in Portland for the long weekend because Sean had a job in Portland, and for the last 2 weeks, he might be home this weekend. I think he's home this weekend. I think he's working Saturday. He'll be home Sunday, just in time for Seahawks football. We'll get there too. And so anyways, we got to meet up, and she gave me this awesome tray. It is different. It is a lot deeper. Like, if you guys see how deep that is, it's really deep. And at first I was concerned that, moving the drills over the top of the tray was going to be an issue for me, because you all know I'm a klutz. And yeah, let me find a symbol that I can actually see. Sorry about that. It really did take me a hot minute to find. It was number 8. I mean, as close up to the top of the color chart as you could get. Good Lord. Yeah, so I was concerned at first that it was going to be a problem, not a problem, but that it was going to be a learning curve for me to move the drills up over enough so that, it didn't fall off my pen and I wasn't like scraping it back into the boat. No, I'm about loving this thing. So, yeah. So anyways, Danielle and I, we got to meet up. It was a lot of fun. We went shopping, and I wish I was able to stay with her a little longer, but Sean was done at 4 and was wanting to go out for dinner, so I was like, all right. And but we had a good time. We went shopping and chit-chatted, and it was a lot of fun. So if you ever get the opportunity to meet up with a creator, do it, you guys. It's so much fun. And of course, what do we have in common? Diamond painting, crafting. And then you'll probably find that you have other things in common too. And yeah, so it's so much fun. It is so much fun. So I enjoyed it. And yeah. And then so I was there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And so I met up with her on Saturday. And Sunday, I ended up getting a wicked headache. And so we didn't go and do anything. And then but we watched football, duh. And then and we watched the football also. Well, I'm gonna get there, people. And then Monday, Sean wasn't feeling great, and he has a lot of back issues. He had surgery on his back because he works in appliance repair, basically, and he had a big fridge fell on him, and he had to have surgery on his back. And since then, he's an old man, and since then he's had some back hip issues, and his hip was really, really bothering him, which means that, he's not going to do a lot of walking around. So I was like, well, I'm not going to take you shopping, and because that's an all-day event for us, well, for me. And then, I really wanted to go to the zoo, but we weren't going to be able to walk around the zoo or anything. And then I hear that the fair was on too, and that would have been fun. or go out to the beach or do something, but he just wasn't feeling good. So we hung and we just, we went out we ordered in actually. And it was just just a nice, relaxing weekend. I mean, I hate wasting weekends because, it's the only time that I get to do, some stuff. But every once in a while, just having that chill weekend that, you get to kind of recharge your batteries and yeah. And so I worked on this diamond painting a little bit, and then I did some very small little projects. Do you guys remember when I unbagged those little keychains? Um, I finished the panda bear. Oh my god, they're so cute. They're so sparkly, and I'll show them in another video because they're not with me currently. But I did two, and those little teeny tiny jars, you guys, that come in those cases that I love so very much. They were perfect for the sparkle diamonds, those very, very super glittery diamonds, because there's not a lot of them. And they fit perfectly in those small cases, or the small bottles. And so I was able to utilize them, though I still do not like them. I wish that, you had the option to take smalls and larges, because for me, I would rather fill that sucker up right to the top. Yeah. So so it was nice. It was nice and relaxing. And then I drove home super late Monday. Like, I left Portland at about 8 o'clock and I was home by 10:30. Yeah, 2.5 hours, which was great because, it's about it's typically a 2.5 hour, maybe 3 hour drive, but then you add traffic on top of that for a holiday weekend. And it can be 4+ hours. Well, because I left so late at night, I didn't have to deal with that. All the accidents were done. Most of the accidents were done. There was actually a really big accident on the highway that they were just cleaning up, but they had, it was bad. It was really bad. They had quite a few people out there, and 2 cars ended up in the middle of the highway, the median ditch or whatever they call it, in the middle of the highway. So that did not look like a good accident, and they closed down 2 lanes. So that was it. Like, there was no clog up. It was fantastic. And I drive kind of fast. So when I'm by myself, I drive very fast. I drive very different when I'm do you guys find that? Do you find that you drive differently when you're by yourself than if you have people in the car? Like, when my kids are in the car, I drive totally different than when I drive maybe with Sean in the car. And then when I'm by myself, I drive totally differently than if I have passengers. So, yeah. I don't scare myself. I'm always in control. Always. Yeah. So, okay. Sip time, guys. Sip time. Love the coffee. Oh, love the coffee. All right. So, football. Okay. So, you guys all know that, I'm a huge Seahawks fan, and football's happening this weekend. Well, it started Thursday night. Today is Friday. I am going to be uploading this. It's Friday. So I watched last night's game between the Bears and the Green Bay Packers. Whoa, what a game. Like, seriously, what a game. And I didn't even get to watch it until the 4th quarter because I came home from work, and I jumped into mommy Grammy role right away, and doing dishes and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I didn't even get the opportunity to sit down and watch that game until it was the half the fourth quarter was already gone. So, if the game was the same way throughout the game, that is by far a very nice low scoring game, and which is crazy. And what I saw in the fourth quarter was just, I mean, there were so many little Hail Marys that were, yeah, that little Mitchell is quarterback, what's his last name? Trubisky. He is probably just like, what the hey? But he kept throwing these like, oh, just wild passes. I was like, Mitchell, calm down, man. But I kind of have an affinity to him because his name is the same as my baby's name. So my last baby. So yeah, yeah. But just before I met up with Danielle, I was watching the Huskies game. And our Huskies, our Washington Huskies, they just blew it out of the park. And then later that evening when I was with Sean, we watched the Coug game, and I am not a total Coug lover. Sean and I, joke that we're house divided. I think he just likes the Cougs to spite me, because he knows how much of a Huskies fan I am. And of course, all my friends are Cougs fans. Oh, yeah. I'm just saying this, Coug drivers, awful. When you have a Coug sticker or a Coug license plate on your car, I automatically think that you're a jerk driver. Just saying. Now, when you're a Huskies, it don't matter what you're doing on the road, you still good in my book. Yeah. But, funny. But they had a great win, and yeah, I mean, they played well. Good for them. They're just, kids, whatever. But we're still gonna smoke them come Apple Cup. So I'm fine. We're fine. Okay, you guys, do you see any more pluses? Yeah, like I'm asking you, like you're as close to the canvas as I am. Oh my God. And I still can't see them. Ah, there's one. Yeah, so, but here's the deal. Okay, so, in my family, I 4 kids, I wanted them all to be active. Now, when I was growing up, my mom put us in piano lessons, and I did Highland dancing and, that kind of thing. She put us in swim lessons because she knew that, swimming it's important. The world has a lot of water, and it would be a good thing to learn how to survive in it. And so, we went for swim lessons and everything, and I tried to drown numerous times, and because I thought that my skill level was better than what it actually was. And I had a lot of confidence in myself that was not warranted, people. And yeah, so I did. I tried to drown a couple of times, and I was saved a few times. Well, clearly I was saved because I'm still here. But yeah, I did not get into swimming until I was a teenager, and we moved to the house that I pretty much grew up in, my teens, and because we moved there when I was 12, and I got involved with the YMCA, and I had somebody who took an interest in me and taught me, how to swim properly and safety and all that jazz. And so I actually loved it. And I'm not super athletic, like I don't run well, and and I feel that I'm not as graceful as other people. And okay, let's see if I can find this one. E. Goodness sakes. E. Is that E? 33. Okay, let's see if we can find this one real fast. This is a problem, you guys. 33, that is. Yeah, so this is, and there's another plus. See, this is what happens to me every single time. So anyways, back to, my children's sports. So, I was not super athletic growing up, but I'm very competitive. And I wanted my children to, do something other than sit at home and play games and be couch potatoes, because I just didn't want that. And so, we put our kids in a bunch of things. And my oldest is not super athletic either. I don't think he loves it. And he was the quiet little book boy. He was happy doing puzzles and reading books and drawing and that kind of thing. He was very happy doing that. And my second son, he was a daredevil, or he is a daredevil. And so I put him in soccer. So he was little. He was like 3 or 4, right? 3 or 4. When did we move to our house? Maybe he was 5. Maybe he was 5. Yeah, that makes sense. 5, 6, 5, 5. And I'll get it. Don't worry. And so I put him in soccer in just, our little local, neighborhood, whatever thingy it was. And here's my son sitting down on the field in the middle of a game. And I'm like, buddy, what are you doing? And he is like, well, why bother running after the ball? It's just going to come back this way. So I'll get up when it comes back this way. Okay, I see the logic. However, seriously. Yeah, so soccer was not for him, clearly. And then we moved and to the States, and then I put my boys in piano lessons, and it was all right. And then and every parent who has children in some kind of music knows my pain and the practicing, and yeah. And I had bought like a little piano organ for them to practice on in the meantime. And yeah, those were good times. And then they got into karate, martial arts, and my oldest actually was very good at it and went all the way up to, he was in brown belt, and he was starting to get the stripes in brown belt. And that's when he decided that, he didn't want to go any further. I think the testing was getting really, really hard. And the problem with some of my children is they're like their mother and a bit of a perfectionist. And if they feel that they are not going to be perfect at something, they just aren't going to do it. At least that's my oldest son's attitude. And I understand that, because I am exactly the same way. And it's really hard. It's hard. And it carries over into school and work and, all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, so that was a little hard. Okay, I'm going to force that one in there because it was just a little off. Yeah, so, they did that. And then my daughter got very, very into ballet dance. She did jazz, tap for a year, and ballet. And she was very, when she applied herself, she was very good at it. And I used to have the ballet teachers were so frustrated because my daughter is tall and, the perfect, like, body structure for a dancer. And you can learn grace, you can. And they just saw so much potential in my daughter, but if she didn't want to apply herself, she wasn't gonna. If she wasn't feeling it that day, it wasn't gonna happen. And that's frustrating. But she went to a nationally acclaimed ballet studio, and my whole goal really was just so that she would have poise and some self-confidence in herself and her body and, all those kinds of things. And she has that. So, goal accomplished. But she did that from the time she was 6 until she was 16, and then got pregnant. And that's a story for another day. And let me see if there's any more E's. You know that there's going to be. As soon as I put these all away, I'm going to find like this slew of E's. Yeah, and then my son, my last little baby, I put him in, basketball and baseball. And baseball was, I mean, he can't run. He's like his mom, he can't run. And so he could hit and he could throw. He could throw really, really well. And he could semi-hit. But he just couldn't run. And and he was not a catcher. Oh Lord. He would, they put him in the outfield all the time because, little league. And the chances of many balls going on out to the outfield are pretty slim when you're 6. And yeah, so that was just not for him. And then we did basketball and, again, the whole running, but it's a smaller court. And yeah, I can't find any more E's, you guys. 33. And so, yeah, so basketball. He was afraid of the ball. It was like the ball would come to him and it was like hot potato. He was like, oh my God, how fast can I get rid of this thing? Right. So that was not the sport for him. So then I put him in swimming, and it was a little painful at first. He did try to drown the first time out. He did. He's like his mom. He did. He tried to drown. And yeah, like so much so that the manager and I were both going to go in and save him, but he managed to pull himself out on the side and yeah, gasping for air, screaming and crying, I'm never doing this again. He was 8 and he swam till he was 18. So we did good. We did good. But yeah, so, like my experience really is, a couple of days of soccer. We didn't even last that long. And, years and years of karate, ballet, and swim. Well, now I've got my little grandbaby. And she is interested in, let me see if I can find, another number while I'm blib-blabbing about. N. Let's find an N. These symbols are ridiculous. Like, seriously ridiculous. And the funny thing is that what's on the color chart on the side here is not how it looks in the 13. Is not how it looks on the canvas. Okay, how fast can I find 13, do you guys think? 5. I really should. Oh, not bad at all. I really should put these in order. I'm gonna go get a little box or something to put these in. Yeah, so she has decided that she wants to try soccer. So this weekend she has a jamboree and picture day, and of course it's the weekend that her mom works. So guess whose Grammy is going to be out cheering on the little, I mean, I would have been going anyways, regardless whether her mom worked or not. But, I would probably be a lot more prepared with, coffee and warmth. It's supposed to rain this weekend. And, yeah, so that's going to be fun. And of course, it's going to interfere with football. Saturday football. Saturday all day football, because you guys, as soon as football season hits, we're indoors. We're just indoors on the weekend. Football is happening. I do kind of pick and choose most of the games that I'm going to watch, but it's pretty, no, there's no more planting. There's no more yard work. There's no, it's done. It's done. Whatever is happening, it's football season. I'm done. But now my little is in soccer. And of course, family before football, whatevs. And You guys are probably laughing like, you are psychotic. Yeah, I am. I like football. I like college football. I like NFL. We are all on top of it. And yeah. And I have some, favorite teams that I like watching. And then when they come and play against us, I have a very hard time. I have a hard time. Yeah. But my little will come first, and I will be out there cheering her on and then bum rushing her out so that we can get home to watch football. I don't even know which games I'm going to miss, but whatever. It's fine. And no, I'm not going to tape them because you know what? It's not, yeah. I'm not that fanatical. I'll Google, find out the highlights. It's good enough. So my other little rant is, God, I don't know how long this is going to go. Oh, geez. My other rant is, so while I'm in Portland, I get a call from my son. It's Friday, and I'm almost in Portland. Uh-oh. What am I doing? 13? Please tell me I just did ends. Yeah. Whew. So I get a call from my son, almost in Portland, and he is like, hey mom, there's something wrong with my car. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he is like, yeah, it won't start. And I said, okay, well, maybe it's your battery. Did you leave something on? And he goes, no. And I'm like, okay, well, see if there's anybody there who can jump. And he is like, well, it's a long weekend and they let us go early and most of the guys are gone. And I said, okay, well, is there anybody there at all, who can give you a jump? And he's like, yeah, there's a couple of office people. I'll go see if, they can do that. And I said, okay. And they give me a call back and, make sure you're okay. So he calls back and he's like, yeah, it's not a jump. It's not the battery at all. It will not start. And I'm like, great. Because we had just done, oh, come on. We had just done emissions and I had just picked up the tabs for the car, and it's a 98 Honda. It's not like, yeah, it's a 98 Honda. It's older than my child is. And so I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess you're going to have to call for a tow, and have it towed home. And he was like, okay, well, who do I call? And I'm like, buddy, I don't know. I don't know any of the tow trucks in the area that you're in. I know at home, but I don't know here. So, Google tow truck drivers, and pick one. And he's like, okay. So he does. And the guy came. He was really nice to my son. Really, really nice. But, so he gets a tow and everything. And the guy recommended to him to have it towed to a shop instead of home. Because if it didn't work, and even if he got it towed home, unless he knew a mechanic, which Sean knows a lot about cars, but, my son needs his car for work, and Sean's in Portland for another week. So at this time, and so, that's not going to work out. And so the guy was like, yeah, you might want to have it towed to a shop so you don't have to pay for towing twice. And my son's like, oh yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Do you know of any shops in the area? And the guy's like, no, I just moved from California, so I don't really. And then he goes to his truck and he is like, well, wait a minute. I have this business card. I can't vouch for these people because I don't know, but we seem to send a lot of cars to this shop. So my son's like, okay, no problem. So he calls me and goes, yeah, I was able, his girlfriend picked him up, and he was able to get the tow to the shop, and at the shop, and will get fixed after the weekend. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, how much was the tow? And he was like, and beforehand, he had asked me, how much do you think it'll be? And I'm like, well, based on my experience, it's been about $150, might be $200 for the long weekend, And so given that advice, he was like, okay. And so I was like, yeah, so how much did your tow end up being? And he is like, oh, like high 300s, low 400s. And I'm like, excuse me? And he is like, yeah, it was a lot of money. And I'm like, oh, for the love of. So, but I'm in Portland, I can't deal with it, right? So, yeah. So I get home and I'm talking to him on Tuesday evening after work. And I'm like, hey, dude, oh, no. I had gone into our bank accounts to pay bills and stuff. And his account is linked to mine, because he's still young. And I noticed that this charge for $415 was taken out of his account for towing. Yeah, so I text my son and I'm like, hey, bud, did your tow really cost $415? And he is like, yeah. And I'm like, why? And he goes, yeah, I don't know. And I'm like, huh. So, I think, well, I'll deal with it, when I get home that night. So I talked to him that night and I said, hey, did you receive a bill or an invoice or a statement or anything that gives you the charges? And he goes, well, something was emailed to me. And I'm like, okay, well, pull it out and let's have a look at it. So I look at it and the first line says, tow 1 hour minimum, $324. I'm like, what the hell? Like, oh my God. And I'm like, okay, well, is that the holiday rate or something? Like, whoa. And and so, I'm a little shocked. And then I look and I'm like, wow, you gave him a really nice tip. And he goes, yeah, the guy was really nice. And then there was tax. And I'm like, huh. I'm like, and all day, I kind of been saying to myself, don't be the mama, don't be mama bear. He's 19 years old. He can solve this stuff on his own. Clearly he was okay paying the cost, but it's not like he's rolling in money. He's a 19-year-old kid. And so I'm like, and so I kind of wrestled with myself over, do I really want to call and be like, hey, I think that my kid was taken advantage of, like what's going on, right? So after looking at the invoice, I'm like, huh, I'm going to call them and just have them explain to me why it's so much, because I had been Googled, how much is our toes. And because I'm like, I'm sure I've never even paid close to that to even have my car, taken 40 miles to a mechanic. Like, I can't even. I just can't even. And so I'm like, huh. So I call, and of course, it's later at night, and I get the dispatch guy, and I'm like, hey, I'm just asking. Well, we got off on the wrong foot right from word go. He, for basically telling me that, my kid must have been happy with his service because he gave a very generous tip, and that, he signed the contract, and now he all but called my kid a liar by saying that he didn't know what the cost was. So started off on the wrong foot. And for a 15-minute conversation that went very, very, very sideways, I basically said to him, I don't understand, at no point was my son told how much this car was going to cost to be towed. The dispatcher never told him. He was not informed by the tow truck driver until his car was actually on the truck bed. And it's not on your website. There are no costs on your website. There's no fee structure. There is no nothing. And when I had explained to him, look, I've never paid this much for a tow. And he says to me, well, how much have you paid for tows before? And I said, typically, I think I've paid like a $75 hookup fee and then about $50 for a local tow. And then anything over the local tow, mileage, it's $2 to $3 an extra mile. And he's like, oh, well, that's ludicrous. And I'm like, wait, what? And he is like, that is just too much money for the type of trucks that, you've probably had your car towed on. And I'm like, no different than the truck that my son had his car towed with. And he's like, oh, there's a vast difference between our trucks and the trucks from these other tow truck companies. And I'm like, okay. how is that? And he says, anybody can go and buy a flatbed truck for $20,000 and do a tow with it. Our trucks cost $180,000, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, sir, that's not my problem how much your trucks are. My issue is that my son was not told how much a tow was going to be, not by the website, not by your dispatcher, and not by the tow truck driver until his car was on your truck. And he is like, well, that, our drivers aren't supposed to do that, and we have dash cams on them. And I'm like, okay, fantastic. And he is like, so I'll pull up the dash cam. And I'm like, okay. And if you pull up the dash cam and it's different than what my son is telling me, then I would like to have a look at that. Oh, well, we don't do that. Like, okay. So now you're saying it's his word against your word that you won't show. Because I'm looking at a bill, I'm looking at your website, and I'm not seeing any price on your website, and I'm looking at a bill that I've now been told by my child he had no knowledge that it was going to cost that much money. Yeah, that's just the way that we do stuff. And I'm like, okay. And so then we go round and round about the cost of, his trucks. And he actually said to me, well, you can go to any of these other non-private tow truck companies who use less than good trucks and are driven by crackhead truck drivers. And I was like, excuse you. I said, I've had nothing but pleasant experiences from the other tow truck companies that I have gone with. And so I'm still baffled about the cost structure and why you're saying that $125 tow compared to your $324 tow is ludicrous. Like, I'm still trying to figure that out. And he's like, well, that's because they're public tows and we're a private tow. And I'm like, okay. And I'm trying to be real nice, but the mommy monster came out. And I was like, again, my issue is that my child was not told that the cost was going to be this amount of money, which if that is what you charge, I have no trouble that you charge your clients that, if that is, your fee structure. What I have a problem with is that he was not told this by your dispatcher. It's not on your website, so it's not transparent to anybody that that's your cost. And he wasn't told by the tow truck driver, who even jokingly said to him, hey, dude, you should have signed up for AAA. Okay, well, my kid doesn't know what that means. And so, he's 19 years old. And then he says to me, yes, he's 19 years old. He's an adult. He should be able to, figure this stuff out. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, seriously? And so we came to an agreement after a almost screaming match. My son kept patting my hand because I was just so aggravated. And I was like, sir, when you start calling out other tow truck companies and, slamming them and for whatever, I get that you're a private tow truck company and you can set your amounts. But it seems to me that the amounts are probably set given the type of vehicle that you have trouble with, because on their website, it kind of indicated that they, specialized in more expensive cars, and being like Lexuses, Lincolns, Teslas, Mercedes, Audis, that kind of thing. They seem to be more in the luxury car. And so they kind of tout that on their website, that they, have good, clean drivers, that the cabs are nice and clean, that they are able to take you to, where you need to go, where your car is going to be dropped off, where more the public towing companies are not allowed to do that because of liability. And, you know, so they do say kind of what some of their differences were, but, again, no fee. And so, yeah, so I am sure that, you know, my name and the word, you know, biatch was written all over, you know, this thing for a manager to call me back the next day. So I get this lady who calls me the next morning, late in the morning, and you know, and I mean, she was nice, and I was nice back, and she even said, wow, thank you so much for, you know, talking with me, and you know that we can come to a agreement about this. And I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure that your dispatch guy that I talked to, or whoever it was that I talked to last night, who by the way was really quite rude. And she says, yeah, he has, you know, kind of a short temper. And when he feels that, you know, people are not agreeing with him, or if he's not being agreed with, then, you know, he can be quite argumentative. And I'm like, so why is he in customer service? Because that's, I mean, yikes, like really yikes. And she said, yeah, I'm really sorry about that. And I'm saying, well, you know, and I explained, you know, and I said, I get that my son should have been proactive and probably should have asked, but he was basing it on information that I had given him based on my experience, not realizing that you guys were a private tow company. I didn't even know that there was such a thing, quite honestly, because I've never dealt with them. You know, I've always dealt with the public tow truck companies who, you know, their names are just out there, just, you know, Jean's Towing, know them, you know, Lincoln Towing, know them. And so, you know, I said he was working on information from that. And so, you know, and he's a very passive kid. It's not like he's going to argue with somebody he feels is in an authority figure, you know, and say, dude, this is too much money, take my car off your truck, you know, like that's not going to happen at this point. And she goes, no, I totally get that, you know, and what is it that, you know, you would like us to do? And I said, I am fully prepared to pay for a tow, but, you know, I think that the amount seems a little high, and given that my kid was never told, you know. And she agreed, and so we came to a consensus that they are, you know, issuing him a credit and a check is coming out to him for a specific amount. Not quite half, but at least, you know, he's going to get something back. And I said, you know, and I would probably address that tow truck driver or your dispatch guy, you know, because, you know, that if that was my first experience with somebody in the tow community, I would never recommend them. I would never recommend you guys. If somebody said, hey, I'm looking for a tow, you know, I would never say, oh, you guys should go with this company. And she says, no, I understand that. And, you know, that is something that we'll have, you know, the upper management talk about. You know, it's not going anywhere. But, at least my child, you know, and again, and I said to her, you know, I wasn't going to do the mom thing. I was going to leave this as a learning experience, you know, for my kid and everything. But, you know, the reality is, you know, he now has to get his car fixed as well. That is going to cost him some money in order to get the car fixed, to get it running. And, you know, again, he's making good money, but he is not, you know, rolling in dough or anything. And we don't want to take advantage of a system or anything like that. But, you know, fair's fair. Like, come on. And she said, no, I understand. And I would hope that, you know, I have a 12-year-old son, and I would hope that, you know, somebody would help my kid out in the future as well, you know, if that happened. And I said, yeah, it takes a village. It takes a community to raise kids. So, but yeah, so anyways, I said to my son, you know, you need to be a little bit more proactive, honey, and start asking, you know, questions. And I know it's hard, but you know, and I realize that you can't think of everything, but you know, you do need to start saying, oh, well, can you tell me, you know, how much it's going to cost, or you know, before you sign anything, you know, look at it and go, oh, wow, you know, not, yeah. So anyways, yeah, that was my poor kid's experience over the weekend, and draining his bank account for a tow that went 1.2 miles, or less than 2 miles. Oh my goodness. And then also what was in dispute was, you know, they had a minimum hour. That was their minimum hour, was $324. And the dispatcher kept saying to me, well, we could have rightfully have charged him for 2 hours because it went for an hour and 15 minutes. And I'm like, he waited for a tow for 40 minutes. So you're telling me that he was charged for that 40 minutes of tow time? And he says, well, yes. And I'm like, so when was he started charging, you know, when did you start charging him the hour for the tow? And he is like, well, when you call and, you know, we get the address. And I'm like, and so you say that the guy is supposed to be there within 20 minutes, but it was 40 minutes. So you're telling me that he had only 20 more minutes of tow time before you started charging into the next hour? And he goes, well, yeah. And I'm like, does that seem right to you? Like, I would think that the job starts when you get there. And so the hour should start then. And if you're going to charge a minimum hour and it only is a 15-minute job, I get that. But for you to charge 40 minutes of wait time for somebody seems a little odd to me. And he's like, well, you know, our truck drivers have to be paid and it was rush hour traffic and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, again, I get that. And I'm guessing that that's why that $324 is built into your cost. But to charge a client for time before you get there seems weird to me. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So anyways, long story short, I won't be recommending this company to anybody for sure. But you know, even though the manager who called was great and we did resolve the issue, I mean, I'm sorry, but the $75 hookup and $50 delivery, you know, local drive fee for $125 on apparently a crap truck, I will take over, you know, a 324 attitude filled dispatcher any day. So on his apparently $185,000 truck. Anyway, so yeah, so that's my, wow, I really ranted about that. Oh, you guys, it's been 2 days of like, yeah, I just couldn't. Oh my gosh. Yep. So, okay, enough of that rant. So, yep, working on my Victoria's Moon, and we'll get this whipping chat up. I will actually be replacing this cover. I just haven't done it yet. I'm going to replace this cover with parchment paper because this cover is all one piece, and that just does not work for me. And, you know, back in the day, before I knew better, I would just rip, you know, when it was one piece like this, I would just rip it into strips from the area that I was working in. And then I found out that that was a really bad idea on my part because I don't work that fast. And so the area that I had ripped off, I wasn't finishing. And so it was, you know, out to the elements of the house. And I have dogs that shed and, you know, a lot of hair. There's hairballs all over the place just from me and my daughter. And yeah, so I was finding that was not the best thing. So then when I discovered the whole parchment paper thing recently, man, is that a game changer, because I can make my pieces as big as I want or as little as I want, and I can work a section at a time. So, and just uncover that section. So, that's pretty good, because right now, like, this area is done, and because it's done, there's nothing sticky for it to go to. And this area is not, but it's not enough to stay stuck. And so you can see that this area comes up, and then underneath here where the glue is open. Yeah, it's not ideal, but if I had parchment paper, all of that would be covered. So yeah. Yeah. And then also, I don't know if you guys noticed, you probably did. And you're going, huh, Lisa, look at you. I am working out of the baggies, you guys, because the Victoria's Moon kit came kitted up in the baggies already. And I was going to put them into my storage containers the way that I normally do. But my storage containers are full right now. Except for, well, I just got the new one. And I have not put anything in that one yet. But yeah, so I just thought, well, I'll work out of the baggies. I don't love them. Like, believe me, I don't love them, because I have to go searching for the number, because I don't have them in something right now that, you know, I've got them in the 1 through, how many colors are on this thing? 38. And so when I'm in need of a color, I actually have to, like, go through the pile to find it. Yeah, versus just going to my little bottle and going, oh, number 11, and picking out number 11. No, I gotta search through the pile, but I will find a box or something, a small box that I can stand these things up in. But unless they're kitted up like this, I will always use my storage system, because I love it. I mean, I don't love it, but it's, you know, the best system right now that works for me. And yeah, yep. So there's that. And then so I have a couple of whips and sips going on. I think I have God, do I have 4 now? I've got Drills and Chills, hashtag Drills and Chills. I have this Victoria's Moon. I have a collab piece that I am doing with the review, Janae, a Canadian gal who loves the Seahawks as much as I do. And we're going to find out if she loves them more than I do. I don't think so. I don't think it's possible. And and then I've got my collab with Allie of Allie's Crafts Pursuits and Maritza, Kiss My Crafts, and we're doing Dreamcatcher Wolf. So I have 4. Well, this is not a collab, and the Drills and Chills isn't really a collab, it's a community paint along. So I have these 4 whips, I guess I would call them. And then I had started my Santa Gnomes quite a while ago. That was that Huacan kit, and it is squares, and the popping drills on that one are also ridiculous. So I have that one going, so that's 5. And then I have the White Roses and Butterflies from Diamond Art Club, so that's 6. And then, oh, I have my other Seahawks that's at Sean's house at 7. And then I've got Friend of the Maidens from Diamond Art Club. So what was that? Is that 7? 7. And then I have another, what else do I have? I have the Seahawks and that over at his house. I have these 4 or 5. I feel like there's one more. I have I know I have 8. Oh, and then I have that original one that I had started. I think I bought that one from Zooey Star like back in 2017, at the end of 2017, and it's the landscape piece that I showed in my works in progress / finishes video, I think. That's that really huge one, and that one's being put on hold. I've not been working on that one for a really long time. So that one is a work in progress as well. So that's what, 8. And then I just finished my diamond art addiction collaboration with Sherry. I finished that one the other day, and so that one is outstanding. You guys, I feel like there's another one. That would have been 9 whips, so now I'm down to 8 because I finished the diamond art addiction collab. Yeah, I have other ones kitted up, I just haven't started them. So, but yeah, all the other ones have been started. So I have 8 whips. Oi, that's a lot. That is a lot. But the Drills and Chills one will be done fairly soon, I think. And then the collab with Ali and Maritza are, those should be done fairly quickly. The Dreamcatcher Wolf is going to be Who Can Finish by October. And it's what, September 5th already? Yikes. And I just started it last night. So yeah. Yeah. But I think it's going to go fast. And this one's going to take some time. My Drills and Chills, I think, I hope will be easy. It is a square though, and squares seem to take me a little longer than rounds do. So, yeah. But anyways, okay, well, I am finished what I had in this tray. So I'm going to stop there for the day, and had a pretty good section done. I mean, and there was a lot of stoppy and chatty because it's what I do, because I get distracted. But yeah, so I hope you all have a great day and a great evening. And ooh, I'm gonna have a 3. You guys, you are rocking my channel. I am so thrilled. I'm gonna make it to 500 in no time if this keeps up. But I am going to be doing a 350 subscriber giveaway, and so by the weekend I will have figured out what my prizes are and get that going. So and make an announcement. So it is coming, you guys. I just finished my 300 and did the winners the other night, and both of them claimed their prizes, so yay. I believe it was Sensational Crafter and Andrea Harvey. And so yeah, so that's exciting. And yeah. So anyways, okay, well, you guys have a wonderful day, evening, wherever you are at, and I hope to see you in my next video. All right, bye-bye.